Hi everyone, I'm back in Ghent and the weather is just great, the greatest it has ever been, and it has been going on like that since October last year. The previous week we even got a storm passing through the country with floods and even a tornado. I'm curious to find out what the people think of all this. So I don't know if you've heard about the weather conditions here in Belgium the past week. There was a storm passing through and it caused floods, especially in East Flanders.
Yes.
There was even a tornado between Antwerp and Mechelen.
Yeah, I heard about it on the news. Yeah.
What do you think about all this? What's going on?
That's a big question. What is going on?
Maybe the global heating may be a cause for this, and we have to think about solutions and find the proper way to avoid that.
Yeah, for sure. It has to do something with the climate if you intend on that.
C'est changement climatique. On parle beaucoup du Gulf Stream qui s'abaisse et qui vient sur nos contrées au nord de l'Europe et qui cause pluie, vent. On a des hivers doux et très pluvieux et c'est un changement global par rapport à ce qu'on avait. Hein. Ça fait longtemps qu'on n'a pas vu de neige. Hein.
There's snow. I think it started in the middle of October, and it's still raining.
Et les sols, ils sont pas faits pour absorber autant d'eau et donc on a des inondations. Par chez nous, on a des inondations dans le Pas-de-Calais. Je pense qu'on va subir de grosses conséquences dans les décennies qui vont venir.
I think that if you see this happening, it makes you think from what will come in the future. Sometimes it makes me a little bit afraid.
Yeah.
And a tornado, it seems that it's normal. They can't have a real preview for it. Then there is some need of other infrastructure for the rivers. Most of the rivers knows canalization, and that's technical.
Yeah, it's really strange to see that such heavy weather conditions actually come over Belgium. Mostly you think that something like that only occurs like far away. Yeah, it bothers me actually. It's kind of scary.
C'est la météo, on peut pas faire autrement. C'est peut-être à cause de la pollution. La météo, elle change, ça devient un peu plus poussé que d'habitude. Je pense qu'on peut rien y faire à part essayer d'être un peu plus écolo, quoi.
I've seen it in Lidkerke.
Yeah.
I live near the station, so there was water coming from the Dender. It's a flow there, and all the fields were plenty of water.
Yeah.
Het is spijtig, ja, dat gebeurt. Ja.
Yeah. Did you see in the news that actually the infrastructure for dealing with the river flow hasn't really been
I didn't see the news, but no, it's very old. It's not very modern.
How do you feel about it? Does it make you angry, sad?
It doesn't make me angry, but it's a little bit sad. But like,
for the people.
it is sad for the people. But like what he said is like, is this place you should build houses, and like I think people would know this when they build houses there. So
I took 2 days off so that I could
Manage. Take precautions.
because I live there in
What do you think we can do in the future to improve these kind of situations? Do you think enough has been done on a national or international
No,
level?
there's not enough been done.
But for the
Since
moment,
we have-
no. If I read the newspapers, it seems that in Wallonie there were no great floodings, and in Flanders it was promised to do it, but we have a very difficult policy in Flanders, and that's the reason, I think.
For me personally, it's hard to really see what we are doing actually. I think the communication concerning the situation is not always clear for us. I must admit I'm not like a person who reads the paper every day, but when I'm looking for real action, I really don't see it actually or notice it, or not a lot at least.
Water management, that's
Yeah.
of course. I'm a Dutch person, so water management is really. I think we're doing a pretty decent job in the Netherlands ourselves. So maybe try to get the expertise into more European countries.
Yeah, on a bigger scale.
Just like work together, collaborate with it.
Start with ourselves, and always with a circle that becomes greater, national, international, and so on. That's the thing. For instance, build now houses in places where there can be a flood, and so on.
Climate's maybe a little bit changing, but I think more it's about the flooding. They need to find a system so it doesn't happen again. I think the biggest problem is that a lot of people build and live in places they shouldn't build houses because there's maybe too many people.
There's too many people and doesn't seem to be enough space. We live in Mechelen and it's just always packed there all the time, you know. So, yeah, I think there's a lack of housing maybe.
It's a mixture of housing and then actually building flood infrastructure. So if you're going to build housing in areas that are vulnerable, then you need to build burrs and banks and other things like that to mitigate such things.
In 2010, we have had the same problem. And then the borders, then in the fields, there were, you couldn't see them anymore. So now it was a little bit less. They promised to arrange the locks, and there are about 9 locks between Gramont, Gerardsbergen, in Dendermonde, and they only fixed the one in Aalst. And all the rest, they are still old, and there are a few locks that are from 1836. But yeah, they want to keep them because it's heritage. So they must make place so that the stream can go further.
Instead of looking at this is a beautiful place to live, is this a proper place to live? And instead of cutting the costs what you're going to build, you need to look at if it's going to be flooding in 5 years and it's going to cost you a hell of a lot more. So, yeah.
And similarly, depending in different parts of the Western world, insurance coverage for these places is affected. So if it's going to be repetitive flooding because of a lack of infrastructure, these people actually can have these amazing houses and homes, but actually can't even get insurance on the properties themselves. So actually, that's a consideration that happens in the UK, especially in the US, hurricane areas in Florida. They can't get insurance at all, no one will cover them. So it's kind of like, is the government or whoever letting them down? Yeah, build there, but actually, what are they doing to stop it?
Think about what's going to happen in the future.
Misschien het kan ook zijn dat de zeps verstopt geraken, dat er ook overstromingen zijn, dat er minder afval.
De putjes.
Ja. Dus maar we hebben er niet zoveel last van, dus ik vind dat wel erg voor de andere mensen. Dus, als de zeps verstopt zitten, dan kan dat water niet weg. Hè, dus ook wat minder afval smijten. Dus,
Même avec toutes les technologies qu'on peut mettre en place, tous les travaux qu'on pourrait faire, je pense pas qu'on arrivera à contrer ça. Mais bon, on n'a pas le choix.
Well, it's for sure we have to reduce the pollution by every way possible. By cars, by industry, by I don't know, everything that generates things that atmosphere does not like.
Je pense qu'il faut déjà à notre niveau faire des choses au national, parce que c'est notre niveau, c'est là où on peut agir le plus facilement, et même en local. Maintenant, à l'international, on voit bien que se mettre d'accord avec certains pays, c'est compliqué, et on voit bien qu'il y a plusieurs vitesses dans le monde, et nous, pays démocratiques, c'est compliqué de s'entendre avec certaines dictatures qui n'ont pas du tout les mêmes intérêts que nous, et qui voient pas les complications que ça pourrait engendrer à l'échelle mondiale. Parce qu'effectivement, nous, on va subir ces choses-là, mais à l'échelle mondiale, il y aura des grosses conséquences.
Oui.
Yes, some pacts with other countries or other regions to prevent and to give some news if there are difficulties expect, so that we can help each other.
Yeah, of course, it's something to worry about, but I mean, I tend to look at the positive things more than the worrying about things that you cannot really control.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I think that we are more worried about our children because we think, well, we have had the most of our life already. It will be okay for us. We are more worried about them, but in fact, they are not worried themselves.
Yeah.
Not so much.
I'm not so much worried. But.
I think there's always a small group who tries their best to do something. I'm of course not a specialist on the matter, but yeah, I think seeing the situation now that we must do something about it. There's really no choice if we want to live a good life here. and we want to give a good life to the people who are coming after us. I think we should do something. Yeah.
A good thing about people is that they are adapting. So we will adapt.
Yeah, indeed, adapting. It's already something if it's getting pushed. Indeed. Do you think it will become a normal thing? That it's
the flooding?
The flooding.
Yes.
Not just in Belgium itself, also in the UK. It's constantly in the news at the moment as
our
well.
hometown in the UK is immensely flooded, more than I've ever seen it. And some of there's amazing drone footage of it. And similarly in the north of England, rivers aren't dredged enough, on the bed, so there's a build-up of sediment, and then there's nowhere for it to go. And it's small things. I find it interesting, we're introducing beaver in the UK, which I think is in Belgium as well, just to help with actually making wetlands and all this kind of stuff. So I think conservation and using kind of unusual techniques is a really interesting and a natural way to kind of help mitigate, create those pools where water can escape to, and is intense agriculture affecting it? If there's huge fields where amazing wetlands used to be, where the water would collect and now there's none, where is it going to go? It's going to end up in places where we are.
Basically in our houses. Do you think we can expect these kind of situations more and more frequent?
Yeah, I think so. Ja, certainly.
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Ja, best wel wel.
Ja, we zien de tendens.
Ja, inderdaad. Ja. Als het veel regent, dan...
Blijvend probleem, hè. Dat een blijvend probleem blijft.
Ja, inderdaad.
Yes, for sure. We have to find ways to limit the effects by reducing the causes.
Especially with the droughts and the wet seasons, they got really big differences. But I think the Netherlands is handling it fine. I guess.
It looks like it, sadly enough, that this will happen more often. I think action must be taken.
Does it scare you?
With the climate change? Does it scares me? Not that much, because most of the people, we can do small things, but the people who can do the big things, they do nothing.
Yeah.
We try to take our thing that we can do. That's I do it, but it's such a small thing.
Yeah. Did you have an impact, or do you know someone that had an impact from the weather?
Not really.
No.
Not really.
Okay, lucky.
Yes,
although it hasn't really touched my area of living or the area where my parents live, but some of my friends have been have had issues through the storm.
Impacted. Yeah.
They have been impacted, or the houses of their family have been impacted.
Ouch.
So it's really strange to notice that the world is changing and the climate is changing as well, actually.
Oui, dans le nord, on a des grosses inondations. Ça veut dire les terres pour les récoltes, c'est un peu plus compliqué. Pour les pommes de terre, les légumes, tout ça.
Oui.
Ça gâche un peu pour les locaux. Pour nos produits locaux, c'est un peu dommage. On est obligé de s'importer d'autres pays, du coup.
Ik ken mensen van mijn werk die serieuze omleidingen moeten rijden, dus dat was wel...
Dus je hebt zelf mensen dat direct impact hebben gehad van het weer.
Ja, inderdaad. Die eigenlijk gans de Tour rond moeten rijden. Ja. Van in Lebbeke, ze moeten ze Aalst rondrijden en zo. Dus ja, dat is ook nog maar plezant. Maar we hebben er zo niet...
Zelf
nog geen last van. Dus, dus bij ons was de Dunder stond wel hoog bij ons in Aalst. Ja. Maar het is dus niet overgelopen, dus hebben we nog een chance eigenlijk. Ja, inderdaad.
We don't live too far from Londersdale, where the really big floods happen. We're not really affected by it. It's very sad. They should do something about it. But it's a thing of where is the money going? Maybe it's not a hot topic for a politician to say we're going to fix these parts because people maybe don't really get affected by it. Now they will say I got affected by it. So it could be a topic above on the list.
And did you get floods in your house?
Not in my house.
Okay, you're lucky.
Yeah, I was lucky, but a little bit further, they had water in their house.
L'impact du climat, oui, on a des personnes qui ont conduit des inondations là dernièrement, des choses comme ça, qui ont eu leur maison saccagée finalement par l'eau.
Oui.
Donc,
et moi, j'ai grandi sur la côte. Donc, moi aussi, en France,
J'ai bien vu aussi l'érosion des côtes et les dunes qui reculent et du coup les habitations qui sont en bord de mer qui s'effondrent en 30 ans. C'est vrai que je pense nous on est la génération aussi où on voit que le changement climatique ça va très très vite et qu'en 30 ans on a vu énormément de choses changer donc faut aussi s'adapter. Clairement, on est aussi la génération qui doit s'adapter. Mais ouais, sur les territoires comme ici aussi, je pense que c'est ça. Il faut aussi qu'on s'adapte.
Oui, tout à fait.
I'm in a top floor apartment on a hill.
Okay.
So I future-proofed when it came to that.
Smart,
Yeah,
okay.
Don't do a basement flat. That's what I'll say. Yeah.
There have been cases of extreme weathers in countries all over the world, and clearly the environment is on the minds of a lot of people. Has your country also suffered from a storm? Please let me know in the comments, and I see you in the next video.